This video has spoilers for Scream 5. Do not watch this video if you have not seen the movie yet. I love the original Scream. In fact, it's probably my favorite horror movie of all time. However, I will admit that I personally did not like any of the sequels that came after. I even wasn't really that big of a fan of Scream 4, despite many fans loving it. Despite all this, I was still pretty excited for Scream 5. In fact, it was one of my most anticipated movies of 2022. And how was it? Well, I'll start off my review with my positives of the movie. First off, I really enjoyed the way it handled all the old legacy characters. I love seeing Dewey, Sidney, and Gil with us again. It was really nice. Sidney stole the show a lot of the time, and I loved a lot of Dewey's scenes. I have kind of an issue with how he's portrayed later in the movie, however, I will get to that in a little bit. I also thought some of the new characters were good. I specifically enjoyed the twins and Tara. I also thought that the gore and kills in this movie were very good. There are no intestines or anything, however, the stabs in this movie really hit hard and give you a lot of impact. Also, one of my favorite kills in the movie was the death of Amber. Technically, Amber died to a gunshot, however, I mean before that when she was lit on fire. I've seen people question how the fuck did Amber get lit on fire, but it's actually because she was dumped in hand sanitizer when a bottle of that was smashed on her. And, well, if you cover something with hand sanitizer and then light it on fire, it will just fucking spread everywhere, because that's just how that shit works. I don't know why it happens, but I find it funny that it's actually accurate. Also, I really enjoyed the meta aspect of this movie, and I thought it was pretty funny. I love seeing Chelsea Rebecca and James A. Janice from Dead Meat in this movie. Obviously, it was only a fucking cameo, however, it was still a lot of fun as they're my favorite YouTubers. It helped add to the meta aspect of this movie, as this is quite possibly the most meta Scream movie in the franchise. Like, fuck, the whole movie and the motivation for the Ghostface killers is that they literally want to make their own stab movie. I feel like that's proof that this movie is very fucking meta. Like, the whole foundation for the Ghostface motivation is that they're just self-righteous fans who believe that they deserve their vision as they are original fans. I like the way that this movie kind of explored that. I also think that this Scream movie might possibly be the most well-shot of them all. This movie genuinely has some really good cinematography. The standout was when they found out what house they were in, if you ask me. Anyways, I guess that's it for my positives of the movie. Now I'm going to talk about the things that I wasn't a huge fan of. My first thing was I found the Ghostface reveal to be very predictable. I saw both reveals for Ghostface from a fucking mile away, especially Amber was very predictable. And the other guy, the boyfriend, I don't remember his name, so I'm just going to call him Hugh because the actor played Hugh from The Boys. His I thought was also kind of predictable, as I tried so hard to make you believe that he wasn't him, that I just kind of was like, okay, it's definitely him. They also tried way too hard to make it seem like it was other people. It was kind of like with Scream 4 all over again. I thought it was kind of weird and annoying sometimes. Also, to make it clear, this movie has an entirely different director, writer, and composer. The new director is because, unfortunately, Wes Craven passed away a couple years ago, so they had to get a new guy, obviously. But they also got new writers and, weirdly, a new composer. And it's weird because I didn't really like the score for this movie as they got a new composer. The composer for the original 4 was so good, and I didn't like the score as much. Marco Beltrami did such a good job for the original 4, I don't know why they got a new guy. My next issue is really just an issue I have with pretty much all the movies in this franchise. It's just that the movies like to make fun of certain tropes in horror movies, however, then the movie commits that trope itself. And it's very hypocritical of the franchise, if you ask me. It was fun in the originals, it happened like once, maybe twice, however, then in the sequels it got really excessive. And yeah, this movie has that problem too, not to the extent of movies like Scream 2 and Scream 3, but it still has the issue. I'll also end with my final issue and say I wasn't a big fan on Dewey's death. I'm not going to explain it as this is a spoiler review, so it is intended as if you already watched the movie. But Dewey doesn't act very intelligent if you ask me, and yes, I get it, it's been 10 years, it makes sense that he'd be a little rusty, but still. I'm fine with Dewey forgetting to shoot Ghostface in the head or whatever, but the guy literally lets himself get distracted by a phone call, which is what kills him. Like, come on. He just so happens to get a phone call right when he's about to shoot Ghostface in the head, and this is what leads to him fucking dying. It's really contrived, if you ask me. Anyway, I guess that's it for my review on the movie. I have to say, despite my issues with the movie, I still genuinely really did enjoy myself. I love the way this movie handled its legacy characters, and just simply seeing them again was so nice, as I love all these characters so much. The original 3 are all in my top 10 favorite horror characters, and Sidney Prescott is literally my favorite horror character of all time. I love the ways a lot of movies have treated their legacy characters recently, and it gives me hope for future stuff too. And again, even though this movie has problems, it's way better than stuff like Halloween Kills, which is just so bad. I really want to make a video talking about why Halloween Kills is a big pile of garbage. And honestly, I'm just glad I enjoyed this movie, as I've not really enjoyed a movie in this franchise since the original. And if you want my ranking of the Scream franchise from best to worst, it would be Scream 1, then Scream 5, then Scream 4, then Scream 2, and then the third one. Honestly, my ranking just appears to be like the normal one because the Scream franchise isn't exactly a franchise a lot of people debate on. Like, pretty much everyone agrees that as long as the first one is in first place, then you're good. That's just how it is with this franchise. Anyway, as for my rating of Scream 5, I am kind of leaning towards a 7, however at the same time, I just enjoyed this movie that much that an 8 out of 10 feels right. So yeah, I will just give Scream 5 an 8 out of 10.